Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Talkin' Rangers podcast. Today is Thursday, November 16th. I am Blair, also known as Bubbs, alongside Joe. Joe, how's it going, man?
It's good. In the middle of this kind of bye week, so not much as far as the Rangers playing games, but again, it's good to get the rest for the team. A lot of guys are banged up still, so.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, good week off or a couple days off here until their game Saturday night against the Devils at the Prudential Center. Well, they'll start things up, and then next week they have a pretty busy week. I know later next week they have a back-to-back. They'll be in Philly, and then they'll play Boston. So a nice rest here, get some guys healthy like Igor. Hopefully Lindgren's all right after the hit he took the other night, and get those guys back and get back into the groove of things. The New York Rangers right now, we talked about in our last episode. If you haven't checked it out, definitely go check it out. We posted that on Tuesday. The Rangers 11-2-1 on the season, 23 points, ranks atop the Metropolitan Division through 14 games this season. So today's episode, we're going to be breaking down the roster, breaking down some of the top performers. We'll take a look at some of the underrated guys, and we'll also take a look at, there's been only a few of them because there's been a lot of positives, but there is a couple guys that we need to see more out of the rest of the way that have started with some struggles. So we'll kind of bounce back and forth here. Joe, you'll start with a player, and then I'll give you a player, and we'll bounce back and forth here, take a look at some of the numbers. So if you wanted to start, let's take a look at some of the top performers this season for the New York Rangers.
So I'm going to go not like a obvious route here. I'm going to go to Eric Gustafsson. I think Eric Gustafsson, like, you can take both ways. His just in general, how well he's playing, and then his point production. I mean, 14 games, got 10 points, and I believe he's only got a handful of power play points. I think he still has around close to 8 points. I think he's got even strength 8 points, which is still really good for your third pair defenseman. And again, like I said, 10 points in 14 games for a guy that you're only paying like the minimum. I think defensively he's been good. Offensively, he's been good, and I think he's just performing really good for this team. And I can't really think of many good contracts that are better than that in the league, where you're getting that high-end offensive production out of a third-pair defenseman, and then for the vet minimum is crazy. So I think he's been a guy that has been obviously one of the better players on the Rangers, and also kind of like a surprise where, again, veteran minimum, third-pair defenseman, and he's just producing and playing unbelievable hockey.
Yeah, I totally agree. Gustafsson's been great. You mentioned the small contract, $825K. He's got the 10 points this season. He's been playing really well, some of his best hockey of late too, where he's got a 4-game point streak so far going into this week off. A guy that I was really excited about. I know you were really excited about, but I think he's, as you mentioned, has clearly achieved or overachieved so far from what any of us could have expected out of him going into this season at defenseman. And he's just been so good piece, fits Laviolette's system. Was a guy I was looking forward to, and it's been really good. I got a question, because I think some Ranger fans, like there's been some conversations about it the past couple days. I've seen it could just be there's a week off, not a whole lot of content. Some people are just making up some potential things that could take place, but his contract is so small. If the Rangers have enough space, if he continues to play this way, do you see the Rangers maybe extending him at some point this season? I don't know if it'll happen. I probably would say no, but do you see it potential? I mean, I wouldn't be against it because he's been so good, but if he continues this, more than just 14 games, do you see there being a possibility of the Rangers extending him middle of the year, especially since he's one of Laviolette's guys, a guy that, has played with him before, knows the system, and is, respected around the team?
I'd say no way, because just the fact that they don't have a lot of cap space. I know it's going up a couple million, but you got to resign Lindgren. I think he's up next year. Schneider's up next year. Obviously, you have to sign some guys on the lower end of the forward group, because there's a couple guys like Bonino probably not going to get re-signed. Wheeler not going to get re-signed. So you still have to pay those guys. And I also think Kakko is also up this year too. So a lot of guys on the younger end that you have to re-sign. And then he's going to want – I mean, if he keeps it up and doesn't get hurt, he's going to get like $5 million. I mean, he's only 31. So I'd probably say no. But again, it was a 1-year deal. I felt like it's going to work for the
Yeah.
Rangers. I have a question though. Do you think possibly? I know that sounds crazy. If he's really performing, do you think like okay, obviously you can't trade him, but like if you know you're going to lose him, would you trade him? Or if you could get something good back from him, or are you just like, we got to roll for the season. This is the season where we can win. Let's just keep him.
Yeah, I'd roll with the season. I'm not gonna I wouldn't ever trade him. I
Yeah, I
think
wouldn't trade him either. I was just saying
uh,
because
yeah,
you're going
because
to
you
lose
could
him for
get a decent
nothing.
amount back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I personally don't think it'll happen. I wouldn't trade him either. If the team was like really bad or if they were struggling, then you definitely
Yeah.
trade him if you're not going to bring him back because then you can get a really good amount back. But with them being one of the best teams in the NHL, obviously keep him around and maybe he's just a 1 year rental, but for now you got to enjoy this production and see what he can do the rest of the way. So that's the first top performer. I'll go with another one here. The obvious one is Panarin, but we've talked about Panarin so much. He's tied for fourth in the NHL in points, tied for fourth in the NHL in assists, 24 points, got the 14-game point streak, a point in every single game. He's been really good. So I'm not going to go with Panarin because we've talked about him so much, and I want to go with another guy that maybe hasn't been talked about as much. So I'm going to go with Jacob Trouba as another guy that has been really, really good for this Ranger team this year. Second year as the captain. I think last season the team as a whole, is kind of high and low, high and low. I think that was the same with Truba, but I think the leadership role has been really good. I've been really impressed with just his on ice performance as well, not just what he's done in the locker room, but what he's done on the ice. He's got the 5 points this season. Not that he's a big point producer, but he's got 50 blocks this year, which leads the team. He continues to be that big hitter, that big thumper. Um, Obviously not we talked about this in the last episode. Not many people like his physicality. Sometimes the opponent fans don't like it, but he's been really good, and I think he's been a lot better than what he was last year. I think some Ranger fans at time he received a little bit of criticism for his first year as captain, but is producing a lot better, and luckily hasn't had to throw his helmet against the boards to wake this team up because they've been really good. So Panarin's the obvious one, but I'm going to go to Trouba here because I've been really impressed with him. Second year as a captain has really taken over that role, and in locker room on the ice. What have been your thoughts on Trouba? Because I think he's been a guy that's had a really good season.
Yeah, I mean, like I think a lot of people kind of hate on him, not only
Yeah.
because of his physicality. I think other fan bases just don't like that he
Yeah.
hits and doesn't
Nope.
like he gets away with it's clean hits. Like we'll just
Mhm.
put that out there first. He's a really good guy on your team. He can stir up like if your team needs a jolt of energy, lay someone out. Maybe he'll get he'll draw like the instant getting penalty. So you have that from his game. And then just in general this year, I mean, he's been so sound defensively. You don't see him getting
Yep.
caught at the blue line like last year. He's a little slow, so maybe get caught a couple times, but he's been really good defensively. His positioning in the defensive zone has been great. I feel like him and Miller are really having a great start to the season because I feel like the last 2 seasons they kind of came off slow, like they weren't great off the gate, like right off the bat, and then they started playing well towards the end of the season as it progressed. But right now, both of them are playing really good. Trouba's I think, a great leader for this team.
Yeah.
Again, you say blocking like a crazy amount of shots.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't
Crazy.
want too much of that because you
No.
get worn down. Like it's not the playoffs where like you put your body on the line, but again, blocking shots is good. Filling up those lanes where you kind of are reducing as many shots on net this year. I think he's a big factor in why the defense is so much better than it was last year. And the hitting, like I said, just bringing that physical presence. So, yeah, I think that's a great choice to point out him. I think, again, a little underrated as far as because he doesn't get as many points as the other defensemen do, but he's been a staple of this team, and I've been really impressed.
Yeah, definitely. It's weird to think like, but you're so right because it's weird to think that sometimes a captain could be underrated, but he is because again the point production isn't quite there, but that's not what he's there to do. He fills his role at a very high level, and he's been really really good. Definitely, I think an improvement from where he was last year, as you mentioned. Some of his struggles last season. So I'm going to go with Trouba there. One other guy I want to talk about here before we get into just some of the underrated performers so far that aren't talked about as much, similar to Trouba. We've talked a lot about Kreider. Statistically, he's been one of the best Rangers this season in terms of goals. He leads the team in goals with 8, is second on the team in points with 14, obviously only behind Panarin. He's been the net goblin that he's always been. He's putting up goals, putting up points. But do you ultimately need to see eventually at some point more 5-on-5 production from Kreider? And I mean, we've mentioned this before, that entire first line as a whole, which I'm sure we'll get to Mika here a little bit later on. But Mika, and then now Wheeler obviously slotting in, for the past couple games at right wing for the first line.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to like kind of say what I was going to say in a little bit, but
Yeah.
I was gonna say that the first line has been terrible. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
they've been bad 5-5, and I think that right now they're getting away with the poor play because of how well the team is doing.
Yep.
I mean, like, they're not bad defensively though. So I mean, if you look at their defensive stats, 5-5, they've been good. It's just a little
Mhm.
frustrating not seeing Kreider
Yeah.
producing 5-5. But to be fair to him, I feel like early in his career, I think he was pretty good 5-5, and lately, I think he kind of just tailed off and is more of just like the beast on the power play with the tip-ins. But I think as long as you're getting good defensive play by him and he's producing on the power play, it's not
Yep.
the end of the world. But I think that does kind of hurt other guys that he plays with, as like Panarin or Zibanejad or Wheeler or Kako, whoever the other two guys he's playing with. I think he kind of, I don't want to say like handcuffs them, but like he's not great 5-5 offensively, so it doesn't really he doesn't really help the other guys, and it maybe looks like he can be making the other guys look worse than what they are 5-5. But like I said, as long as he's playing good defensively and
Yeah.
contributing on the power play, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, it seems to just be his strength, and then his 5-on-5 is really just the weakness. But you hope to get a little bit more production. But I mean, the net goblin in front on the power play certainly helps, and has been a big key of why our special teams have been so good. So talking about some of the top performers in Kreider as well. We'll get back, I'm sure, to the first line as you mentioned a little later on. So we'll start with you here. Who's an underrated player this season, and a guy that you think might explode here over the course of the coming out of this week here and then throughout the rest of the way?
So for the player playing good that I did, I kind of went more of like the underrated. I think this one is going to be obvious. Like Will Cooley
Yeah.
has been so good for the
Yeah.
Rangers. I mean, he's got speed, he's got aggression, he hits. I think he leads the team in hits, which is like crazy because you think that Truba would do that or Lindgren, but he just gets into the
Yeah.
offensive zone and he's just pounding defensemen. Like he gets in, his forecheck is unbelievable, and like I said, he's got speed. And he's got some skill to him too. Like you've seen a couple moves by him where
Yep.
like it was a pretty skillful move. Like I think he made a pretty nice move against the in the last game against the Blue Jackets. I think he had a couple nice cuts to the net, decent hands, and I think he's got a good shot too. Like I would like to see him shoot the puck more, but his overall just aggression and just how he's got a motor. Like he's like one of the guys
Yeah.
on this team that keeps going and going. And I think he's got 3 points this year, I believe. Not 100% sure. He might have more actually. He might have.
I
Wait,
think
no, he's got 5. He's got 5,
5,
which is
yeah, because he's
wow.
got the 3
He's got
goals.
3 goals, 2 assists.
Yeah.
Should be 5 goals because he got the goal taken away
Yeah, the
last
goal
game,
against
and then the
Columbus,
goal
yeah.
taken away against the what was the one where they said he kicked it in? You remember? Was that against the Oilers? I believe. I think
Uh, it
it
might
was
have
out
been.
west.
I think it was on the Canada road trip, right?
Yeah, so he's got 2. He
Yeah.
should have 5 goals, 2 assists, which is 7 points in 14
Yeah.
games for a guy playing no power play, third line minutes. He's been unbelievable, and
Mhm.
I honestly would really like to see him go up and play on that first line to give him a chance on the right side because I just love the way he plays and his energy to this team. And I think at the beginning of the season, I was personally rooting for him to make the team, but I think a lot of the management maybe was on the side of him not making the team, going down for Hartford for a little. But I think it was a great idea. He's been unbelievable, and I'm really excited to see what he can do as the season progresses.
Yeah, I'm glad the coaching staff got that right to keep him up here because he was a guy that deserved the opportunity, certainly take advantage of it. I totally agree with the pick there. It was a really good one, and I totally agree too with bringing him up to the first line. I mean, he's been light years ahead of what
This
Wheeler's
spark
brought.
plug. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
his
think he can
part.
get him Kreider and Spanish going.
Yeah, exactly. And something else too, just the forechecking ability. You talk about like he's never when he's on the ice, he's always making a play. He's always like you can always notice him. He never I don't think there's really been a time where like he's disappeared on the ice. He's always there. You've always noticed him, and that's really good for a young guy playing in New York with a lot of again, he's on the third line. It's not like he's the face of the team. He's got a ton of pressure, but you've seen some of these other younger guys get off to some slow starts here. He's been off to a really fast start, and you hope that he can continue this. But yeah, I've been really impressed with him. And as you mentioned, the 2 goals taken off the board. The most recent one was the Columbus goal on Sunday. Could easily have a lot more points, and to sit here and think that he could be even better or even statistically better is crazy because I don't know if many people would have expected even this production in the first place because a lot of people, including myself, probably expected some growing pains, but you really haven't seen those so far. So he's been a really good piece for this
Oh,
team.
wait, I got a hot take real quick.
Yeah.
Well,
What were you saying?
before you go into your guy,
Yeah.
he's gonna score more points than Panarin, or Panarin. Jesus Christ,
Panarin. Yeah.
more points than Kako, and he's gonna score 20 goals this year.
Yeah, I'd say he's definitely more points than Kako. The goals, yeah, I mean he could easily have 5 right now.
I think he's gonna go like 20 around.
Yeah, he
I
should
think
easily have more points than Kako.
I think yeah, he's gonna have more points than Kako, and I
Yeah,
think he's gonna get 20.
yeah, I could see it. Yeah, he's rolling, he's cruising, he's buzzing. So my underrated player, um, there's a couple because I think there is kind of a couple. I want to really say Lafreniere is underrated, but I'm gonna go a guy that early in the season was playing poorly. Obviously, he was teamed up with Gustafsson, and it took him some time to kind of mesh, and there was some defensive gaffes early on, and it looked like he was struggling, and there was some concern. But I'm gonna go Braden Schneider as a guy that is underrated and has actually played well this year. And again, look, a guy defenseman. When you look at the numbers, he's only got 3 points, but he's got the 25 blocks. He's been really a lot better in the defensive zone. He's been a lot more defensive sound. I think he's really started, early in the season for a guy still relatively young in a very complex Lavalette system. I think he just struggled to understand it a little bit. And there was a lot of those, I guess, if you want to call it defensive breakdowns that were his fault and they were concerning, but a lot, recently he's been so much better. He's really starting to develop, really starting to understand the system, really starting to build chemistry with the guys around him and the system and understanding it. So I'm going to go Schneider as as you want to say, really underrated guy that doesn't get talked about much at the defenseman spot. So would you tend to agree? What have been your thoughts on Schneider this year?
Yeah, I mean, again, like he's a young defenseman, first round
Yeah.
pick. I believe he's 21, 20, maybe 21. I think around there. He's still very young. I think he's got more offensive upside to him, but I think again,
Yeah.
as his role on the team, he's not really supposed to like try to do that. I think he's just trying to be a shutdown defensive defenseman on your third pair, kind of keep growing, keep getting experience. But now, yeah, I've been impressed with him. I think a couple of games where he was playing with Jones, I thought he was a little bad, but I mean, I don't think Jones is very good.
No.
I think that could be a part of that, but I think he's a really good third pair defenseman. Like we're talking about Gustafsson, that's a great third pair. You have a stay at home guy when everybody's healthy, because Gustafsson right now is on the top pair, but when Fox back, he's a stay at home defenseman. Schneider, he has Gustafsson for that more offensive side, and I think he's getting in the lanes, he's blocking shots, and I think his positioning in the defensive zone has been better, and he's getting better. Again, he's young. I think defensive defensemen don't get as much credit. So I think that a lot of the times you're not going to really look at him as like a standout guy. So I think, again, if he can just keep progressing, keep just playing well in the defensive zone, and here and there he'll get some points. But yeah, no, I've been impressed by him. He's been really good for the third pair, and I'm excited to see if he can like continue to develop, and then eventually one day maybe he takes that next step to replace like a Trouba on like the second or like a first pair.
Yeah, he's got a lot of upside, especially like you mentioned, the offensive upsides there with him. But again, third defenseman and recently paired with Zach Jones.
That
doesn't quite help your case. But yeah, I mean, defensively, he's been a lot better. And I mean, I think I might have, I jumped on him a little bit early in the season for some of his struggles, but I think it was obvious, or you had to kind of expect that for a young guy in a new system and a complicated system with a new pair. So, once Fox comes back, obviously him and Gustafsson have been really good on that third pair. We've already talked about Gustafsson. So I'll go Schneider as my underrated guy. I don't really know if you want to consider Lafreniere. He's not underrated, but he's not talked about as much as the Panarins of the world. But Lafreniere is another guy that obviously has been really good. So we talked a lot of the positives because there's been a whole lot. But now we go into one or two, or you give one, I'll give one. Guys that need to be a lot better. And with that could also come some of the lines too. We talked a little about the first line. So who do you got for some guys that need to be better? And if they can be better, how much better can this team get?
So I'm going to go to Zibanejad. Not that he's been bad, but he definitely needs to pick up his production. I mean, he's got 2 goals in that one game. He doesn't have an even strength goal this year, actually. He's got the overtime 3-on-3 goal, and then he's got that 5-on-4 power play goal. So he needs to start producing even strength. I mean, he's got to. I mean, he's too good to have 2 goals through 14 games. Like, that's crazy. I was expecting hopefully 35, 40 goals this year, and it's getting to a point where, I mean, he's a streaky player like we've mentioned before, but he's got to start scoring. I'd be shocked if he didn't score. I think he can still score 30 goals, but at this rate, I mean, he might score only in the 20s, which is not great for Zibanejad. I mean,
No.
especially also on the power play, he's not really connecting on those one-timers. I know they're kind of going to Kreider as far as the power play, like the first look where they're going for the tip in, but still, I don't know. It's just been frustrating to see him
Yeah.
5-on-5. Like he seems like, I don't know if you think like a little invisible. Would you say?
Yeah, I thought early in the season, I thought he had a couple good opportunities in terms of like he had a couple, one or two if I remember, went off the post. I thought he had a couple where the goalie just made good saves. But recently, you talk about being invisible. Like some of his shots recently, one timers, they're just missing the net. Like they're completely wide, which
It looks
is
like also too,
not
like
good.
on the power
Yeah,
play, he's kind of taking too many of those like shot passes to Kreider. Like I
yeah,
think what he
he's
needs to
trying to
do,
force it.
you just one time it and just
Yeah,
rip it at the net. I mean,
it's
don't try to. Yeah, the forcing has
it
got to stop.
exactly. It's almost like him and Panarin like swapped roles because Panarin used to be that force it like pass, pass, pass,
Yeah.
pass. Mika's got to get back to that shot first. If Mika gets back to that shot first, him and Panarin continue. Like Panarin continues to go on this tear. I mean, that would be so huge for this team and so huge for the first line too. We talk about Kreider being struggling a little bit, not being quite the 5-on-5 player that, or not being a very good 5-on-5 player, but Mika's got to be way better, and
Yeah.
especially even strength 5-on-5, that whole line as a whole.
I mean, again, he hasn't
He
been
has been
bad. I
good.
think he's got like
No,
I
it
think he's
reminds
got
me
like
of his
10
the COVID
points.
year.
He's got like 10 points in 14
Yeah.
games. It's not terrible, but as a player of his caliber,
Mhm.
he should be getting to the 90 points and he should be around a 40 goal scorer. So, I mean, again, the team's playing well. He hasn't been bad defensively. I think he's been better in faceoffs, which is good. But again, you'd really like to see him drop because I think it's going to be tough for the Rangers to continue this as far as only one line. I mean, the third line's been good, 5-on-5, but they haven't been scoring as much. But at least the first line has got to start playing better at 5-on-5, and then I think it's got to start scoring because, I mean, I think they might have 2 goals 5-on-5 this year. I think Kreider's got one with Wheeler on it, and then might I think they have like 2 5-on-5 goals, and I think both of those are Kreider. And you got to get more production out of your first line.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I was looking at some of the numbers earlier today too with Mika. Like last year, obviously he had the 35 goals, or the 39 goals rather. Almost
Yeah.
cracked 40. He cracked 40 again a couple years ago in 2019, where he had 41. He had 91 points, but like last season through 14 games, this exact mark, he had somewhere around 7, 8 goals and like 7 assists, and that was way more than I think it was 7 goals, 8 assists, or something along those lines. Right now, he's got the assist kind of where he was last year, but he's got 5 less goals, which is alarming a little bit. I think it's I think he had like 7 or 8 goals or whatever, but a little alarming for sure. I think he's got to be
I mean, like,
a lot
yeah,
better. I
like
mean, it's just
it's a little frustrating, but
he's
again,
not.
like the next time we talk, it could be like he has like 2 hat tricks
Yeah,
and
and
like
then he's got the Flyers on Black Friday, so
that should be 3 goals.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't want to sit here and slam Zibanejad because he's been so good for us for a
I was
very
saying it's
long
been a
time.
little
But
disappointing his
yeah,
start,
definitely a little
starters
disappointing, no
offensively.
doubt.
So
Yeah, I would
hopefully,
tend
he
to agree.
I have faith in him that he'll start scoring.
Mhm.
I have faith he'll
Yeah,
start scoring.
the first line, they're too good, and maybe if they move Cooley up, that helps 5-on-5. I don't know if they'll do that, but if that happens eventually, there's got to be a breakout coming. Mika, we always say he scores in bunches. Like he'll go on a weak stretch where he scores 2 goals, a goal. Like he scores in bunches. So as you said, we could easily be next week we could be talking about Mika scoring, having 6 goals as opposed to just 2 right now, which is could completely change the way we view him right now. So he's a guy that can get hot fast, and when he gets hot, he's one of the best scorers in the league. So moving on to my player here, guy that's been disappointing. I'm gonna go with. I know we've talked about it a lot, but I'm gonna go with Capo Caco. I think he hasn't been good at all. He's got to be a lot better. I know Blake Wheeler too hasn't been good, but Wheeler, the expectations I think lower than Caco. 1 goal, 1 assist. He early in the season, I thought he was getting a lot of good opportunities, but he was missing some. He was missing some good chances. Like he had chances. He was getting some pressure, forechecking a little bit. But now it's just hey, these last couple games, he's disappeared. And that's never what you want out of a player where, again, you don't even know they're on the ice at times. And I feel like that's kind of what we've gotten from Kako. And it's a little concerning because we've seen Lafreniere really take his game to the next level so far in this system. Cooley's had a lot of success. Heedle before the injury was playing well. And even Heedle, he was getting robbed sometimes at some points. He had some good opportunities. Kako, he's not there yet. And that's concerning because you're seeing these other young guys play well. Even Schneider, like we said, he's improving. And Kako is still in this plateau area where he's not getting any better. So I think he's been disappointing. I think he's got to be a lot better. And it's a little concerning that we went into the year and it's a big year for both those guys. And the other guys Lafreniere has shown a lot of improvement. He had his huge breakout game against Columbus, the 2 goals, the shootout, all that great stuff. But Kako, you're not seeing that. Would you tend to agree too that he's got to be a lot better? Like, what are you seeing out of Kako? I think like recently he's disappeared.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree as far as the beginning of the season where he had some chances. Like he had a couple breakaways, a couple cross-head shots that he got off, or a couple of times he fanned on a couple shots, I think.
Yeah, I think he might have missed the net or open net or two a couple times.
I think he's just been invisible straight. Like he hasn't, like you don't notice him on the ice, like which is a little frustrating. Like you notice like Kola, and you notice like guys like Trocheck. He doesn't play with that kind of speed. I don't think he's that type of player, but he's got to be better, like for his game. Like his game is being a grinding player along the boards, doing those quick cuts, getting away from defenders, and opening up like lanes where he can pass the puck. Like that's what his game is, playing aggressive along the boards. You don't really see that much out of him, and it seems like he's kind of like, I think he's faster than what he is. He seems like he's just playing slow right now, and I don't know if it's a confidence thing, but it's a little concerning. Again, like you said, 2 points. I don't believe he's got a primary assist this year. I think the one assist that he had, he just like hit off the boards and sent up like a 2-on-1 with like Zibanejad or whatever. So, and the goal that he had, again, I mean, you can't fault like a goal is a goal, but I believe it was like a rebound off of it was like a dirty goal, a garbage goal in front of the net off like a shot from the point. Mm-hmm. So he hasn't really been like creating offense, I feel like, which is concerning for him. Again, kind of going like what I said about Mika. I think he's been good 5-on-5 defensively, but second overall pick. Again, I was expecting a big year out of him. I think you were. And it just seems like he might be like, if he continues like this, I mean, 1, are they going to sign him?
Yeah.
2, could they trade him? Because I know he's an RFA. And then the third thing is like, I don't know. Will he get as far as point wise? Like, do you think he's going to get like 30 points this year?
Not the rate. I mean, he's got 2 points in 14 games. I don't think he's on the way. You feel like it's pressure because again, he sees Lafreniere playing well, Cooley's playing well. You think it's pressure, like I'm not developing.
That's what I'm thinking too. Is like he sees Lafreniere playing well, and now he's taking a step back where he's on the third line now after being on the first line. And maybe he's like that pressure is building up, especially like you're saying, seeing guys like Lafreniere and Heedle and even Coley playing well. It's tough. I mean, I don't know where he was as far as this time last year as far as points, but I think he did.
Yeah. What were you saying?
Last year he did go through some really cold streaks where like I think he went like 20 games or something without like a point. And then you could see all like those guys' numbers, the 3 kids. Once they got put on that line, the kid line, he started scoring again or producing. But I'm gonna give him like another month. I'm gonna say give him till Christmas, and then if he's still not doing good, then I'm gonna be really concerned.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at his point totals from last season. So he came out of November with 8 points. He's got 2 right now, and it's November 16th. So he's on pace to be lower than where he was last year if he doesn't pick it up. We talk about the pressure, the confidence too. You wonder if the whole, like 2 years ago when the whole playoff thing with Gallant and all that, like
I think that's different though, because like that's
I mean,
again
he
2
came
years
back
ago
next
and
year.
It was Gallant. It was a different coaching staff.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to be mean, but maybe he's just not that good. It's just.
I mean, it's possible. I think he's good. I think he's a really good defensive player.
Yeah, and he's shown flashes. Like you talked about his play on the board, some of his playmaking ability. Like we've seen it. It's so spread out. It's not consistent enough.
The thing about like to become like there's 2 like in hockey. there's things that separate from you being like a good player to a really good player. Like I
Yep.
think he's a good player. He can make the first play. Like the first play is like something where you can create a turnover or
Mhm.
you make a offensive play where you skate the puck into the zone. And then he's not good at making that second play, whether it's shooting and scoring or making a really nice high level pass. It doesn't seem like he makes like you don't see him a lot making a really good pass where like, oh, that guy should have scored on that. Or like he has the puck, creates a turnover, and then gets a shot on net where like, oh, that he could have shot. That was a nice play.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't make that second play, which is a little concerning. And I think that's a part of the game where you wanted to see him improve, whether it's making a really nice pass to set up a goal or more chances where he's getting into a good like shooting lane to hopefully score a goal or like create a
Yeah.
rebound or something. He's not making that second play.
Yeah. He's not generating enough pressure at all. It's been a little disappointing. I mean, you said what you give him Christmas.
Yeah, I give him until
Let's see.
Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, like, what would you do if how would you approach it if he doesn't get better? Like, what would you do in terms of the lines and stuff?
I mean, as far as like the lineup, you're saying like everybody's healthy, like Heedle comes
Yeah.
back,
Heedle
which
comes
that's something
back.
we could talk
Everybody's
about,
healthy.
like because apparently there's been stuff about Heedle. He might be done. Like I heard somewhere that there's a chance he could be done for a while. So
Yeah. I I don't think. Yeah, he didn't. I know yesterday I heard he didn't skate at all.
I would have put
Yeah,
him
he
on
hasn't
down
been out there.
CIR.
Yeah, and then
But
Fox
as
has.
far as like you were saying, Kako,
Yeah,
I mean he's too good to play in the fourth line. I don't think he's playing that bad, but I don't think he's playing well offensively enough to probably get another chance on the until he starts scoring or creating more chances. I wouldn't put him back on the top six. I'd keep him on the third line, but I definitely give Coley a chance. But I mean, that would be a disastrous line. Imagine Kako, Wheeler, and Benino. Like I love Benino; he's
uh,
been really good on the
yeah.
faceoffs.
Benino's
But
been. There's no
that has to be
scoring.
like, if you look at the metrics of those three guys, that would have to be like the slowest line in the league. Imagine
Oh yeah,
Benino, Wheeler, and Kako on the same line.
and combine those guys, they have 5 points. Because Benino, or no, I apologize. They have 6. No,
I think
5.
Benino's got 0.
Yeah, Benino's got 0. Wheeler's got the 3. He had the goal the other day, and then Kako's obviously got the 2. Benino, I've been impressed with Benino. He's been good in his role, but he's just not. I mean, that's what
Oh yeah, he's a
he's
great
not
fourth
a
line
goal
player.
scorer. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's gonna block shots and he's gonna win faceoffs. That's what he's gonna do. Um, he's good for those bottom 6 to set up the top 6, set up those guys to start to score. But yeah, Kako's got to be a lot better, no doubt. And you know, I don't know what they would if they would ever think about moving on from him, like at the deadline. If you would even be able to get anything for
I mean,
him.
like I wouldn't like sell low on him though. Like I think the thing is, you
Yeah,
have to give him the whole season.
yeah,
And then maybe you get lucky where he's so bad where you could maybe get like you could sign him for another bridge deal. I highly doubt he'd take less
possible.
than 2 million though. I don't think he's gonna take less than what he had. I can't really see him getting a pay that big of a pay increase because he hasn't done anything. So it's a weird situation for Kako, but you just gotta hope that he starts to get those bounces and maybe he starts getting a little lucky and maybe that can get his confidence going.
Yeah,
But it's a
all it
tough
takes is one
situation.
sometimes. Yeah, hopefully he can start getting some rhythm, but a guy that we need to see a lot more consistency out of, and hopefully he turns it on a little bit, but we'll see. So that is pretty much all we've got here. Taking a look again, some of the top performers, underrated guys, and some of the guys that need to be better for this team. So, any other closing thoughts you got before we close things out here?
It's just I think again, we didn't really mention that much about the goaltending. I think
Oh,
that the
that's true.
goaltending has been really
Goaltending.
good. Defensively, they've been good. I mean, obviously special teams, again, top 5 or top 7. I think they're 7th in penalty kill and or I believe are they first or second in the power play?
I thought they were.
I
I'm
think they're
not.
second. I believe they're second in the league in the power play,
Yes,
which
I
is
think.
really good, especially without Adam Fox. But special teams been good. Defensively has been good. Goaltending has been good. But to finish it out, got to improve 5-5.
Yeah, I agree. And their penalty. Yeah, you mentioned the special teams. You think? Do you think? Do you think Igor is going to be when all's said and done this year? Like, what do you think You think he has a chance once he comes back here healthy? Hopefully Saturday. to be right back in the Vezina
I
conversation?
think he's going to win the Vezina.
Vezina, you think?
I think I can't see. He's too good with how well this defensive team is, like the defensive system and how they're playing. He's going to win the Vesna. I can't see like he's going to give up like. I mean, again, he's had some bad games where he gave up like 4 or 5 goals, but I think those numbers are kind of like fluky. I feel like he wasn't giving up bad goals, but I think it's Sorokin. I don't believe is going to have a good season. Saros has been up and down. So you look at all like the good goaltending. I mean, I could see maybe Swayman winning it or like Olmark, but
Yeah.
I think those guys maybe knock each other out because they play like evenly, like as far as games played. So I think Shesterkin can have a monster season.
Yeah, totally. And if not Shesterkin, Jonathan Quick or Louis Domingue.
Yeah, no, Jonathan Quick, dude, for the best now.
He's been good. Yeah, so then just looking at some of the other team stats as you talked about, penalty kill percentage, the Rangers are 7th right now, or tied for 7th with the Avs, 86.7, and then power play percentage, as you mentioned, they're tied for 2nd with the Canucks, 33.3, and then they're 2nd in the league in points percentage at 821 points percentage, which is actually higher than Vegas, Vancouver, a couple of those teams. So the Rangers have been able to
first in the Metro.
a whole lot. Yep, first in the Metro. Devils right now are not, the Isles are terrible.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
stink.
they're old. They have like the oldest team in the league. I don't like. It's not sustainable. I mean, they have a couple of like young guys playing well. I mean, I think Barzell's doing okay, and I think Dobson's doing pretty good. But they have so many old guys in the team. Like I said, if Sorokin isn't going to play like as well he has been, because he's been bad, there's
Sorokin's been terrible.
No chance of making the playoffs.
No, none at all. And the fan base is already turning on. Lambert. He had the fire Lambert chance.
Same as Almirello.
Or Lamorello, yeah.
Both, like Lambert and Lamorello.
Yeah, I don't know why they really. The whole Trotz thing was interesting to begin with.
Well, I think he wanted to leave though.
Yeah.
Are you concerned though about like going back to like what I was talking about earlier about Hedel? Like, you think there's a chance he doesn't come back this year, or is that crazy?
To be honest, dude, I barely.
Like, he's had a couple now.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, they haven't. I don't know. It's weird because he's still not skating. Obviously, you really haven't heard much. I mean, with the history concerns you, it's possible. I don't know. I still think he'll come back, but it's concerning that something, they were just, it's a concussion. You think, he'll be back soon, and we've heard nothing.
Who do you think comes back first, him or Fox?
Fox.
You think Fox will be back?
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully, like early December.
Yeah, I don't think Hedel's coming back anytime. I don't think Hedel's coming back anytime soon, but I don't know if that means the season for him. But
I
what do you
they
think?
Put him on LTIR though, if it was like really, really serious. So I guess maybe there's a chance he comes back in a week or two, but I don't know how many more games Fox has where he has to miss. I think it was 10 games. I think he's maybe missed 3 or 4.
10. I think it's 10 games or 24 days.
He might be able to do the days thing because I think he
because they had all these days off.
Yeah, but they got like a bunch of games coming up. I know they play Saturday, then they play Monday, then they play Wednesday, then they play Friday, Saturday, Monday.
Yeah,
a lot of games coming up.
Yeah, and then they're back on the road too now. They got the 4 road games, which I mean, some of them are. I mean, the
Devils. That's not really
the Devils, and then the only real like far road games is the Stars, because then it's Pittsburgh and Philly, and Philly and Devils will have a ton of Ranger fans.
Is the game on Monday is at home? Wait, do they play the Penguins at home, or is the Penguins game on the road?
Penguins on the road. It's the Devils Saturday, Stars Monday, Penguins Wednesday, and then it's Philly, Boston Friday, Saturday. Boston's home.
Boston's home, right? And then they got a home game on Monday against the Sabres, I think.
Yeah, Buffalo, and then they play Detroit, and then so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, the Devils. I mean, we'll see if they're full. If they're healthy again. There,
he's going to be back for that game. So
yeah, it'll be interesting.
I don't think Heischer is going to be back for a while though. It seems like he's going to be out a little bit more.
Yeah, he just.
But I mean, nothing negative on Heischer, but obviously Hughes is the driver of that team.
Yeah, Hughes is. Yeah, without Hughes, they're nothing. Maybe something else with the Islanders too. Like, they're blowing so many of these leads. The amount of third period just penalties they've taken. I was watching. I saw a little bit of the game last night. I mean, they're like blowing these games. I mean, they were up 3-2, I think it was, going into the third. I mean, they had a 2-0 lead early in the game. They had, I think Brock Nelson had a power play. I think it was 2-0, and then the Canucks just stormed back. Like, they're
I mean,
blowing some of these
the
leads. They're a
Canucks are
disaster.
off to like an incredible
Canucks
start,
are good.
but I think the Islanders, though, like again, what I'm saying is like if they don't get that goaltending, they're not going to be as good. But at the same time, is that they're a team where I think if you get down, like that's going to be tough because they don't like they're not a very high flying offensive team. Like they have a
Nope.
bunch of old grindy guys that can kind of sit back in that trap and play good defensively. But I mean, they're not even playing good defense right now, so
No,
I
they're
don't
not
think they're
doing
going to make
anything.
the playoffs.
It's
What
just,
about the Penguins? What are your thoughts on the Penguins? I think they're on like a 5 or 6 game win streak.
yeah, they're five games. Yeah, they're looking good. I think they played well. I mean, and they beat what Columbus, I think, was the other day. They crushed Buffalo. I think I think they shut out Buffalo um the other day. I'm actually kind of pleasantly surprised with the Penguins that they're actually. I thought they would turn into like an
They
old
were
age
at the
home similar
bottom
to them
though
in
of the league,
Boston.
or at least of the East until they went out west. They swept like a Western
Yeah,
road trip in Canada or in California. But I mean, now
I
they're
didn't expect much from them this year, but they're what 8-6-0, so they're
who do you
finding
think
ways recently.
if you had to predict right now, who do you think are the teams in the playoff in the East and like where they end up as far as just like in the top three and then wild card?
Well, top three, I'd had to go Rangers right now. I don't know. I don't think the Capitals continue. I don't know. I think they're gonna teeter out. I feel like they got to teeter out eventually. Um, Out of the Metro at least.
In
I
both
think the
like
Devils
Metro.
will make it. I'd go Rangers, Devils, Hurricanes. I think the Devils will probably eventually. Once the Devils are healthy, they'll be much better. I mean, I know their defense and goalies have been terrible. For the Atlantic, the Bruins look really good. Detroit, although they're not quite what they were through the first couple weeks, they're still solid.
You think they end
Maybe
up in the top
Tampa.
three?
What do you say?
You think they end up in the top three in the Atlantic? Detroit.
It's possible. I mean, unless what? Who? Detroit?
Detroit. Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, or Toronto maybe. I
If
could
you
see
had to choose
Toronto
three though,
jumping
like
in.
right now, who like I think I agree Boston 100%, and then who do you think the other
Boston.
two teams are?
I'd go Boston, Florida, Toronto.
And then as far as the two wildcard spots, who do you have taking those home?
Definitely not Philly because I know they're in it right now.
No, then, yeah,
I'd
I agree.
right now the wild card spots. I'd probably go. I'm gonna go. Devils are gonna be in the Metro, so I'd probably go like Tampa, Capitals, or Penguins maybe. Because I think the Devils are gonna start playing better. I
You
don't
don't
think
think
the
any like
Devils will
those
be.
younger teams in the Atlantic have a chance? Maybe as like the Sabres or Detroit.
I thought the Sabres were gonna make the postseason, but they've been really bad.
Yeah, I
And
thought
now
they were going to
they
finish in the
Tage
top three.
Thompson's out too.
I thought they were going to finish in the top three in the Atlantic. It looks like they
Oh
might
yeah.
not make the playoffs.
No, I don't think Buffalo will. I mean, I think they've been. I thought they were gonna be one of those really young teams. Like I thought they were almost gonna be similar to like Florida last year. Not so much a young like Florida was just a young team, but one of those teams that kind of gets in and then could make a run. Or the Devils too, like one of those young teams like the Rangers were, and the Devils last year. But I don't see it. They've looked really bad. I mean,
I
they've only
think
got 14
I think a
points.
team that could really finish higher up than they are now. I don't know where the Lightning are now. Are they in the top
The Lightning are
three?
16. I could see them getting a wild card. I don't know
Well, I
if they'll
mean,
finish in
I
front of
think they might
Toronto,
though
but
because I think they've been playing pretty well, and they
and they
haven't
get
had
Vasilevsky on his way
I
back.
think he's coming back. I think he's close to return, so
Yeah.
he's probably still top five goalie in the league. Top three, even you can argue him as the best. So if they get him back, I feel like the Lightning are a team that could definitely. I mean, that division seems like more open than. I mean, besides the first spot, I think the Bruins will probably hold on. Again, you never know, but it seems like that division, it's more open than the Metro. I think again the Metro right now. Again, the teams are a lot closer, but I think as the season goes on, the Devils and the Hurricanes are gonna, and the Rangers
Yeah.
will comfortably be
Yeah, I
in
don't
those top three.
yeah.
But I feel like in the Atlantic, like you could argue the Sabres if they start playing better, the Red Wings, the
Yeah.
Lightning, the Maple Leafs. So like that division, I would be a little concerned if I mean the Rangers are playing really well, but I think it's better off that they're in the Metro right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you might want to expect too, like Boston. I mean, I know their goaltending are really good, but Boston maybe slows
I don't
down a
think
little
I
bit.
don't think they
You
do.
don't think they will?
I think sustainable. The goaltending is really good. Again, they're playing a good again. They've been good for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And then defensively, they didn't really lose any defensive players. So they've been. That's how you win through. And then as far as scoring, I mean, they still have Pastrnak. They got like the young guy's name. It's like Patras or something. He's been good. I could see the Bruins running away again with that division, which is crazy to think.
Yeah. Just to get knocked out again?
I think this year, like I said, I
Yeah,
don't know if I
this
said
year's
this in the
different.
show, but I think Bergeron comes back. I think they win the Stanley Cup this year.
Really?
That's my prediction.
Go
Bergeron
under.
comes back at the end of the season, or towards the end. They add some at the deadline again, as far as like forward depth, because I think they're fine defensively, and I think they win the cup this year. That's my
What about the
prediction.
Capitals? I don't know. I don't believe in the
No,
Capitals. Like they
I
were
think
not. I think
yeah,
they slow down.
I think they. I mean, they're old. Ovechkin's
Yeah, they're
not
an
playing
old age
great.
home, which is why I'm shocked they're actually off to a solid start.
Not great defensively. I mean, the goaltending is a little like suspect. I mean, they have Kemper and Lindgren, but I don't know. I don't see them. I see them hanging around till maybe like March and then teetering off.
Yeah, and I think too with Devils and them getting healthy, I think is going to make an impact
Yeah,
as well.
they'll finish comfortable. I'd be stunned if they. I'd be even stunned if they don't finish in the top three. I
Oh
think
no,
they're
I think
gonna.
the Devils will finish. I think it's going to be Rangers. I think the Devils might even jump Carolina.
So then, who
But
would the Rangers be playing at? Like, who do you think is the best match? I mean, again, we're looking way into the future. Like, this is crazy,
yeah,
but I'm just curious because like it's fun to talk about it. Just who do you think would be a good matchup? Say they finish first. Like, who do you think would be a good matchup in the first round for the Rangers? Like, imagine they play Washington in the first round.
I wouldn't mind that. But
I think a tough
good
team would be
matchup. I mean,
Tampa.
I
Tampa would be
what do you
tough.
say?
Tampa, that'd be a tough first
Tampa.
round matchup.
Tampa would be tough. I wouldn't mind Toronto because they don't win playoff games.
Yeah, they are not built like
No.
it's like insanity. They do the same thing every year. They don't finish. They
Yeah.
don't do anything with goaltending and defense, and that's why they lose every year in the playoffs.
I wouldn't mind Pittsburgh either.
Pittsburgh scares me low key though. I mean, like Jari's been
Yeah,
bad,
but
but he could get hot, and you have all those veteran
yeah.
guys. I don't know. Pittsburgh wouldn't want to be a team. I wouldn't. I feel more comfortable playing like Washington,
Mm-hmm.
Detroit, someone like that.
Florida.
Florida's a pesky team. I don't know. I think maybe Florida. No, I mean, because again, if
Mm-hmm.
Bobrovsky can get hot, and they have a very like playoff team where they're going to grind you down and they're
You
aggressive.
know, like, sorry to cut you off, but you know who I would fear just thinking about it is, let's just say Buffalo goes on a run. I
Nah, I
would
don't
fear
feel
a young
Buffalo.
team like that because a little bit. I mean, come playoff time, I'd take the Rangers probably, but it would just be similar to because we've seen young teams before win a round or two in the postseason, like the Rangers when they first made it back, obviously 2 years ago. They came back from down 3-1. They came back from down 2-0. They went on the road, won game 7 in Carolina. Like one of those younger teams that kind of just gets hot at the right time.
I don't think
They can be a pain.
I don't think the Rangers would have a problem with them. Just the way that they play the game. The Devils were such a problem just because of their speed. I don't think the
Speed, yeah.
Sabres have that elite of speed on their team. And again, like Levi hasn't been great too. Like I don't really
And we're
trust
better
him.
than where we were last year. I mean,
A rookie goaltender, I don't really trust. I mean, again, you had like Bennington, but again, that was a team built for the playoffs where they were aggressive, they were grinding, and they had a lot of playoff type guys. I don't think the Sabres have a very playoff roster, like the way they play. So I wouldn't be that concerned, but maybe just the juice and the energy of being young and in the playoffs, kind of like the Rangers were. But again, we had a lot of
yeah.
veterans, so I don't know.
One thing I will say, I mean, it's so nice to say, oh, look at this guy's goaltending problem. Look at this team's goaltending problem. To sit here
Yeah.
and say we've got a Vezina guy that's going to be in the Vezina conversation as long as he's in his
We'll
prime.
probably draft someone in a couple of years, and he'll probably be just as good as Shesterkin.
Oh
You don't
yeah,
have to
just
worry
like
about that.
when
As long as
Shesterkin's
the
on his
goaltender
way out.
then while Laird's
Yeah.
here, we'll be fine. It seems like that
Yeah.
guy doesn't get enough praise. Like he
No,
takes
it's
all
just
these like I won't say crappy but older backup goaltenders and then turns them into really good, like not really good but pretty good backup goalies. Like Quick was good, has been really good.
yeah.
Block was struggled, but then I think eventually when he got assimilated to the team and the coaching staff, he started playing well. Georgia, like people forget he was a Ranger. He's pretty good. Like he's one of the better goaltenders in the league, and he was a Ranger. So
Yeah.
I'm not concerned about that at all.
Yeah. I find it funny though that some of the guys that we've root for this year at goalie, because Louis Domingue, we remember 2 years ago at the playoffs, and then
He
now
did
we're all
kind of
rooting for
sell though in
Jonathan
that one in
Quick.
Game 6. He
Yeah,
gave us some bad goals, like the
the
goal that won
magic
the
ran
game.
out.
Remember the goal that won the game where like Kreider like shot it over him and he like went up to grab it and it went over his
Yeah, and he
shoulder.
missed.
That's such a bad goal that he gave up.
Yeah, and then Panarin had the winner, but or in Game 7.
I
But
think Jari played that game.
yeah, Jari played that game because, dude, you know what was crazy about that series, and we could finish here in a second, but Igor was horrible to start
Yeah, he
when they
wasn't
went on
good.
the road.
That's true. 100%. Oh, again, the Igor chance pissed me off. I mean, I respect.
You
The
know what
fan
else I
bases.
hate?
Hate
I
those.
cannot stand the sound that it makes in Pittsburgh where it's like dun 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 and they go let's go
Go
Pens.
Pens. Yeah,
It's so
Capitals
annoying.
used to say that
Every
too.
5 minutes there's 4 of those things that
You
pop
remember
up.
like earlier on in like the 2010s, all those runs. Every time they played the Capitals, it'd be the same thing.
Yeah.
It'd be like, let's go Caps.
I hate it. It's so annoying. I was watching the Hurricanes Flyers game last night. The same thing happened. They do it with the Hurricanes
That's
now
so
too, which I
annoying.
never knew. It's terrible. But yeah, rooting for Quick and Domingue is rooting for Quick just doesn't seem it
It was
wouldn't if
like
you would have told
so
me.
far though, like
No,
down
it's so
like in
far
the
gone.
past. So yeah, I don't really blame. I don't think Quick won in that series. I don't think he played that good. I think more
Yeah,
so the Rangers just got like grinded down. They were really beaten
Kings are
up.
better.
Yeah, Kings were like more. I think the Rangers were maybe better, but I just think the Kings again were playing more of a playoff hockey style where they had more guys, and I think they were a little bit healthier. So we'll see.
Yeah. But anyway, any closing thoughts before we head out of here?
Same thing as I always say. Everybody just
Yeah.
stay healthy. That's all we need. Like no one else get hurt, and just continue playing good defensively. And hopefully, like the law of averages comes through, and a lot of these guys that like Zibanejad and Kako, who we've seen them play well, will start playing well. Just continue just playing well. I mean, I think a lot of these Devils fans, I think, are going to be a little annoying on Saturday. Not saying the game doesn't really mean that much, but it'd be nice to beat the Devils. I think it kind of.
Oh yeah, it's always nice to beat the Devils. Cannot stand Devils fans; they're so annoying. But anyway, that'll do it for episode number 8 of the Talking Rangers podcast. A lot discussed. We'll be back next week recapping some of these games coming up. Hopefully, the Rangers get the job done at the Prudential Center on Saturday, and hopefully, they continue to get healthy, stay healthy, and win some more hockey games. So that'll do it for another episode. As always, please like and subscribe. Appreciate all the support. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.